What is the advantage of, till now we discussed only disadvantages of physical data center. What is the advantage of physical data center? Anyone? What is the advantage of physical data center? All the infrastructure is owned by you. Everything is owned by you. You have physical access. You can go there. You can see the servers, storages, switches, routers, whatever the infrastructure you have. You can see that you have physical access. Everything is owned by you. That is the only advantage of physical data center. But lot of investment, huge investment is required. That's why the cloud has more popular. And the disadvantage of physical data center, you need to recruit number of employees, number of teams. You have to pay the salaries. But if you go for cloud data center, one cloud admin can manage storage, can manage network, can manage operating system, can manage virtualization, can manage database. Everything is managed by one cloud admin. That's the reason the companies are moving their infrastructure from physical data center to cloud data center. Does it mean that the companies they don't have physical data center? Yes, they do have physical data center. But some applications are running in physical data center, some applications are running in the cloud data center. Which applications are running physical data center? Banking applications. Banking applications are running in the physical data center. There are two types of clouds, private cloud and public cloud. Private cloud is owned by their own organization. Private cloud is maintained by owned by their own organization. Public cloud is maintained by third party. In India, there are two types of there are the famous data centers in India, that is Rackspace and Pi. Rackspace and Pi, these are the physical data centers. Rather than you purchase all the infrastructure, rather than you take your own premises, purchase all the physical infrastructure, maintain infrastructure, you can use the infrastructure from the Rackspace. They're going to provide all the infrastructure, whatever you want. Rackspace and Pi, these are the data centers. They're going to provide everything, all the infrastructure for the companies. All these are ready-made. These are the famous data centers in India. Now, coming to what is cloud computing? What is cloud computing? A cloud computing is the delivery of computing services. A cloud computing is a delivery of computing services. What are those? Such as servers, databases, networks, softwares, storages, screen पे तो चला, phone पे तो चला. इधर पे. Okay. Databases, networks, softwares, storages, switches, routers, and many more. All these are hosted. All these are hosted. All these are hosted at a remote data center. At remote data center. At remote data center. Managed by a cloud service provider. Managed by a cloud service provider. We call as a CSP. What is CSP stands? Cloud Service Provider. CSP stands Cloud Service Provider. So who are the cloud service providers? Who are the cloud service providers? AWS, GCP, Google Cloud, Azure, Oracle. Oracle, they have their own cloud. IBM, IBM Cloud, Oracle Cloud, Salesforce Cloud. All these are cloud service providers. All these are cloud service providers. These guys are offering the computing resources. These guys are offering the computing resources based on the demand. These guys are offering the computing resources based on the demand. So are you going to put huge investment to start your own data center? Lot of investment is required for infrastructure. Instead of buying, owning, and maintaining physical data centers, these servers we can access from cloud vendors. All this infrastructure we can access from the cloud vendors. If I'm using cloud services, any cloud services like AWS, Azure, or GCP, what is the advantage? No capital expenditure. No capital expenditure. At least you require only one laptop. You can start from home. You don't require any office. Also, no capital expenditure, no operational expenditure. If I'm using this cloud computing, you just create the account in AWS and you can access the resources like servers, storages, networks. You can access any kind of resource. Resource can be a software resource can be a hardware resource. Your operating system, databases, applications, all this comes under software resources. Your storages, network, servers, all this comes under hardware resources. So with the help of this cloud computing, you can access your resources by just creating a free account. Even account also free of cost for 1 year. By just create a free account, you can access all these resources. You can access all these resources by sitting at home. What do you require? I just need internet connection. I just need a internet connection. Next, to host any kind of application. To host any kind of application, we first need infrastructure. You want to host an application. We discussed in the first class what are the types of application. Either standalone. For standalone, we don't require any physical server. Standalone application you can install on your laptop or desktop. Standalone applications are always installed on client system, local system. So we need web application. Mobile application we can host on your mobile. We don't require a physical server. But the application like static web application, dynamic web application, we need a infrastructure. We need a infrastructure. Any kind of application. So for that you have to understand. For that you have to understand cloud deployment models. Cloud deployment models. What are these cloud deployment models? Very, very important. To understand, without this, without understanding this cloud deployment models, you can't able to work on AWS, you can't able to work on Azure or GCP. Cloud deployment models for any cloud computing, either AWS or GCP or Azure. One is public cloud, private cloud, public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, and multi-cloud. These are the types of these are the types of yeah. Hello, I'm audible, everyone.
Ye-
Okay. So, what is this public cloud? What is this private cloud? And hybrid and multi-cloud. We'll discuss one by one. So this is your hardware. One dedicated server. For IBM, they're going to provide one dedicated server. Wipro, one dedicated server. TCS, one dedicated server. Cognizant, they have dedicated one physical server. Public cloud, public cloud is like a shared environment. Shared environment. What do you mean by shared environment? This hardware is shared for more than one client, more than one companies, more than one client. So this is the one server dedicated for IBM. This one server dedicated for TCS. Basically, all these are not physical servers. These are called virtual servers. Physical servers only one. On top of this physical server, they're going to create a virtual server. That virtual server is dedicated for these clients. What is virtual server? Is again separate class for that. We'll discuss later. So public cloud is a shared environment. Where they're going to share their resources to the particular client. This is called public cloud. What is private cloud? Private cloud. It is a dedicated. Private cloud is a dedicated server. Dedicated server. Dedicated server for only one customer. Dedicated dedicated only for one customer. For enterprise customer. So for private cloud, what we discussed like rack space, pipe, data centers, all these are going to provide private cloud. All these are going to provide the private cloud. So they have in the advantage of private cloud, they have the physical access of the server. The advantage of private cloud, they have physical access of the server. They can go there, they can see their servers, they can manage it. That is called private cloud. They have physical access. Public cloud, we don't have physical access. We can only access the resources from internet. You can't see that, you can't able to go there, and you don't have physical access if it is public cloud. Next. So this is the public cloud. AWS or Azure. These applications going to work on three-tier architecture. We discussed earlier what is this three-tier architecture. So this is the front end. What is front end? In front end, we are going to configure UI or UX, user interface, backend, backend or microservices. Backend or microservices. What are these microservices? We'll discuss later. Backend or database or microservices. Backend or database or microservices. Nowadays the trend is microservices. So the banking sector, the database very sensitive. All the banking sector, the database very sensitive. They cannot keep their database in the public cloud. There's no security. That's the reason all the banking sectors are hosting their applications in the private data center, like in Rackspace, Pi data centers. They're hosting their applications in the private data center because the data in the banking sectors are very sensitive. But recently, like 1 2 years back, RBI approved that you can host your applications, you can host your services on cloud data center. RBI given the application, they given the permission to host their application in the cloud data center. Why? Because earlier days they used to feel that there's no security if I keep my database in the cloud data center, because our database maintained by the third party. What's the guarantee? Because the AWS, Azure, these service providers, they're giving guarantee for the database and applications. For example, the AWS, they're giving They're saying that if you keep your database, your applications in my cloud data center, I'm going to give 99.99% 99.99% availability. Your applications, your applications availability is 99.99%. Actually, we discussed that what is this availability and high availability. They're saying that if you host your application in our data center, we are providing 99.99% availability. What is the meaning of 99.99%? What is the meaning of 99.99%? Your application never goes down. Your application never goes down. That is called 99.99%. The meaning of 99.99%, that means what? They're saying that your application, if you hosted your application in our data center, your application, we are giving the downtime of your application, we are giving 54 point some 32 seconds. 54.32 seconds. 54.32 seconds downtime per year. They are giving that 54.32 seconds downtime per year. Means what? If you are hosting your application in AWS cloud, they're saying that your application never goes down. Yes, we are giving the downtime. How much downtime you are giving? Max downtime is 54.32 seconds downtime per year. 54.32 seconds means less than hour, less than 1 hour. Means if you are hosting your application, running application cloud data center, AWS cloud, for 365 days, your application may goes down less than 1 hour. Less than 1 hour. That is called as a availability. So to achieve this availability, there are a lot of infrastructure is required. Background, in the back end, lot of infrastructure is required. You can ask why 99.99%, why not 100%? No one can give the 100%. No one can give the 100%. If anyone gives the 100%, it's a fake. And they're saying that if you keep your data in our cloud data center, the durability they're providing, 11 nines. 11 nines means 99.4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 nines. This is called durability. 9 11s. What's the meaning of durability? You take, for example, Google Drive. Google Drive also one of the cloud. Why Google Drive is a cloud? We don't know where exactly the Google Drive, the cloud data center. So when we keep your database, any data in the cloud data center, in the cloud storage, they're saying that we are providing 99.119 durability. Means what? If I keep 1,000 files, in cloud data center, cloud storage, they're saying that after 10,000 years, you may lose only single file. After 10,000 years, you may lose only one file. That is called durability. When we store the data, for example, 1,000 files in cloud data center, cloud storage, they're saying that after 10,000 years, you may lose only one file. That is called 11 nines. So 4 nines availability, 11 nines durability. We have a separate class on this. We'll discuss later. There is a one advantage of cloud data center. Now the combination of public cloud, private cloud, we call it as a hybrid cloud. We call it as a hybrid cloud. Next, service deployment models. It has been classified as 5 types. It has been classified as 5 types. What are those? PaaS, platform as a service. We discussed earlier. Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, functionality as a service, container as a service, container as a service, software as a service. Hello. नीचे और क्या मोबाइल लगने रहा कंप्यूटर Hello guys, is it visible? Everyone, the font?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
अंदर कनपడుతుంది కదా मैं లాగా ఫిల్ లాగినా So we discussed earlier the types of service model, service deployment models. Those are infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, functionality as a service, container as a service, software as a service. So firstly, when you guys for a cloud or when you guys are going to the data center, physical data center, there are few stages. There are few stages where the support is going to available from the vendors. First, you have to think that where the support is going to be available from the vendors. And there are few stages where you guys need to support yourself, by your own. Now, here, these respective services deployment models, I'm going to teach you what exactly vendor is going to give the support. What exactly vendor is going to give the support. And what you guys need to support yourself. What you guys need to support yourself. You need to understand that. You need to understand that. Before understand these types of models, deployment models, let us discuss about what hardware infrastructure you require. What hardware infrastructure you require. You need a networking, storages, servers, virtualization, operating system, middleware, runtime, database, and application. Networking, storages, servers, virtualization, operating system, middleware. I'll show you the PPT.
Is the class stopped or what?
Hello? Here,
I
types of
can
cloud
see
were discussed.
3 members.
Are you able to see the screen, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
public cloud, private cloud, hybrid, and multi-cloud. What is public cloud? Public clouds are owned and operated by the third party, which deliver their computing resources like servers, storages over the internet. So those are AWS, Azure, GCP. All these are example for public cloud. With a public cloud, all hardware, software, and other supporting infrastructure is owned and managed by the cloud vendor. You are not going to manage anything. Everything is managed by the cloud vendor. You can access these services and manage your account by using the web browser. We have only browser facility. By using web browser, you can access any kind of resources, either software or hardware resources. For that, there is a software called application called API, Application Program Interface. API is nothing but a graphical mode, GUI mode, graphical user interface. And we also have a CLI. You can access these resources from command line. You can access these resources from graphical mode. I'll show you both command line and graphical. Private cloud. Private cloud refers to cloud computing resources exclusively by a single business or organization. A private cloud can be physically located on companies on site. Every company they have their own private cloud on site, their own premises, their own premises. That is private cloud. Hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud combines both public and private clouds. Hybrid cloud combines both public and private cloud, bonds together by technology that allows data and application to be shared between them. In the real time, some applications are running on the private cloud, some applications are running on the public cloud. Suppose let us take an example. A database running on the private cloud. I don't want to keep my database. It is a banking sector. It is a banking application. They don't want to keep their database in the public. They want to keep the database in the private cloud. But their application should be hosted on public. Database running on the private cloud, but the applications are hosted on public cloud. Then how this application can be able to access the data from the database server, which is in the private cloud, which is in the private cloud. For that, we have some services. We have some services. With their software, with their services, we are able to access your application database from public cloud to private cloud. So the data and application between to be shared between them by allowing data and application to move between private and public. So hybrid cloud gives your business greater flexibility and more deployment mode options. More deployment option. So that is a combination of public and private. So this is called hybrid cloud. What are the softwares we are going to use in AWS? AWS direct connection, AWS site-to-site connection, AWS transit gateway, my database running on the private cloud, but my Tomcat application, Tomcat is application running on the public cloud, either AWS or Azure. So as I told you that when you're hosting any application, that application need a database. So some companies like banking sectors, they don't want to keep their databases on public cloud because database contains very sensitive data. They want to keep their databases in the private cloud. So this is called hybrid cloud. This is called hybrid cloud, private and public. So these are the services we are going to use in AWS to integrate your public cloud with private cloud, to integrate your public and private cloud. Multi-cloud. Multi-cloud is a strategy where an organization leverages two or more computing platforms. Some organizations do not depend on single cloud provider. You take companies like IBM, TCS, Wipro, they never depend on single cloud service provider. They're going to go for multi-cloud. Suppose you take an example, the client required database like MS SQL. What is MS SQL? MS SQL is a Microsoft SQL. Microsoft SQL we cannot install on Linux. Microsoft SQL cannot install on Linux. Microsoft SQL only on Windows platform. We can't install on Unix platform. AWS is the best cloud service provider for Unix platform, for Linux. Azure Cloud is the best service provider for Windows. Azure is the best service provider for Windows. So I can't install my database on Linux server. I want to install on Windows platform. So definitely we'll go for Azure. So some applications are running on Linux, some are running on Windows. So this is called multi-cloud. Every MNC company they're using multi-clouds. They're using multi-clouds. Tomorrow, even if you join as AWS or AWS cloud admin or DevOps engineer, if the project is running on Azure cloud, they're going to provide you KT. KT stands knowledge transfer. Don't learn all these clouds, wastage of your time and money. Learn only one cloud. If the company having Azure cloud, they're going to give the training for 1 week or 10 days KT knowledge transfer. Because you have experience on one cloud, you can easily understand the other clouds. So this is called as a multi-cloud. Cloud service models. We have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Infrastructure, platform, software as a service. These are called cloud service models. This is called on-premises data center. Networking, storage, virtualization, network, operating system, middleware, runtime, data, and application. This is called on-premises data center. If you understand this, what is required for on-premises data center, then you can understand what is infrastructure as a service, what is platform as a service, what is software as a service. If you understand what is required for on-premises data center, you can understand the remaining. Now, this is the infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service. In infrastructure as a service, what is the meaning of infrastructure? What is the meaning of infrastructure? Nothing but a hardware. Infrastructure, nothing but a hardware. A storage, a server, virtualization, networking, everything is managed by cloud vendor, either Azure cloud or Amazon cloud. Azure or Amazon cloud. All this managed by the cloud vendor. These are all hardware. Infrastructure means hardware. All this infrastructure managed by the cloud. What you are going to manage? You are going to manage operating system, middleware, runtime, database, applications. These things are managed by customer. Customer nothing but a client. These things are managed by the customer. All the infrastructure managed by the cloud vendor. That means what? You don't need to maintain storage. You don't require a storage team. You don't require a virtualization team. You don't require a networking team. What you require, you need operating system, middleware, runtime, database, and application. Only these things are managed by customer or a client. Remaining infrastructure is managed by the cloud vendor. Managed by the cloud vendor. This is called infrastructure as a service. I want to host my application. I have a developers. I want to host my application. To host an application, I need a server. I need a storage. I need a switches and routers. Rather than I purchase this hardware, I'll take this hardware from the cloud vendor. And I host my application on this server, the server in the cloud. This is called infrastructure as a service. This is called infrastructure as a service. So they're going to provide you only the infrastructure. Platform as a service. Platform means what? Your networking, storage, operating system, middleware, runtime. Everything is provided by the cloud vendor, including middleware, runtime, operating system. Everything is provided by the cloud vendor. Then your job is install database. On top of that, install application. The database applications, these two are maintained by the customer, or a client. Remaining all maintained by the cloud vendor. Application database maintained by you. Remaining all maintained by the cloud service provider. That is called platform. They're giving the platform. They're not going to give only infrastructure. In platform, in infrastructure as a service, they're going to provide you only infrastructure. They're not going to provide you platform. Platform in the sense operating system. To host your application, we need operating system. To host your application, we need a middleware and runtime. That is called platform. Operating system, middleware, runtime, that is called platform. So they're going to provide you the infrastructure and they're going to provide you the platform. You just host your application and maintain your database. So in this scenario, I need only the developers and database administrator. Remaining everything is managed by the cloud vendor. Everything managed by the cloud vendor. For example, in IT city, There are ready-made offices are available. Ready-made offices are available. Everything is ready-made, plug and play. That is called platform. They are going to be the platform. So everything ready-made for you. Just install the host your application, deploy your application, and manage your data. That is called platform as a service. Software as a service. Here, nothing is managed by you. Everything is provided by the cloud vendor. Everything is provided by the cloud vendor. Suppose in AWS we have a service called Lambda. Lambda is one of the service that is called software as a service. RDS, relational database service. It is also software as a service. To install the database, I need a storage, I need a networking, I need a virtualization, I need an operating system, I need a middleware. Everything is going to be provided by your cloud vendor. You just start your database, you can work on database. In DevOps, we have a service called SonarQube. So to configure SonarQube, I need a server minimum 8 GB RAM. I need a server with minimum 8 GB RAM with 2 CPUs. 8 GB RAM with 2 CPUs. Your laptop desktop doesn't have 2 CPUs. By default comes with only one processor, but that require two processors. So to install the SonarQube, or you want to practice the SonarQube, you want to configure the SonarQube, are you going to purchase a system with two processors? Are you going to purchase that server with two processors? Wastage of your money. Go to cloud, Amazon, go to internet. There is a sonarcube.org. Go to the website. The server ready-made available. Even you don't know how to configure SonarQube. To understand how to configure SonarQube, you need to understand how to install the software, how to configure software, how to start the service. All this stuff is required. But I'm just a programmer, developer. I don't know how to install the software, how to configure software, how to configure network, how to start the service. I'm a developer. I just want to use SonarQube. The service is available. You just go to the website. You can the URL is provided by the SonarQube. You click on the URL. The server is ready-made for you. You just deploy your application on the SonarQube server. That is called software as a service. Another example, gmail.com, yahoo.com. If you load a company, the company required one mail ID. The company required one mail ID. For that, you have to configure separate mail server. Are you going to configure for the separate mail server? To configure separate mail server, want to configure separate mail server? I have to purchase one physical server. Install operating system. On top of that, Apache, install the Apache web server. On top of that, configure mail server. On top of that, configure DNS server. All this stuff is required. Lot of manpower is required. Takes lot of time consuming. Instead of that, you create the account in Gmail with the company name, info@ibm.com, info@xyz.com, where xyz.com is the company name. That is called software as a service. It's a ready-made for you. No infrastructure required. No software is required. No database is required. Everything is provided by the cloud vendor. That is called software as a service. If you are maintaining the company, and if at all you want to host an application, you need to decide that whether I should go for a software as a service or a platform as a service, or infrastructure as a service. That is decided by who is going to decide? Your technical lead, AWS architect. We are discussing only AWS professional, solution architect and professional. So that is going to decide by your AWS architect, whether you want to go for platform as a service, software as a service, infrastructure as a service. Any questions? So these are very, very important types of clouds and service models. Any questions, guys? Okay. See you on Monday.
Sir, send this PDF, sir. Group lo. PDF group lo send చేయండి.
Send చేస్తాను. మీకు లింక్ పెడతాను, ఆ లింక్ మీరు డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి.
ఓకే సార్.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, boy.